reason why even the greatest training and education companies stay stuck at pretty much around the same revenue for 3, 5, even over 10 years? Well, part of the answer is right here. I've spoken directly with over 350 owners of training, education, and certification companies, and I took notes. I've seen all of their data, internal data, and most importantly, I've helped dozens of these companies in this specific space unlock their revenue plateau that they've been stuck at for over 10 years in many cases. To first understand why even the best training education companies get stuck, you have to know that there's only two ways to grow any company. First, you either acquire more customers predictably, or the second one is you make each of your customers worth more money, meaning either they buy more times or they buy at a higher price. That is it. And in education training, it's not like a service or software company where people, pay every single month and you can keep a client for many, many years. This is just not the case in training and education. The only way this happens is with community. So people stay to access a network and they're going to pay a small amount every single month, or they get certified. So a certification is a big part of training and education. And most cases for some companies, it's going to be a company that needs to certify their staff every 2 years. But that's it. And that's the important thing to understand, is that 90% of the energy, time, capital of a training and education company should go into how can we do the first one, which is acquiring more customers predictably. Where there's three things that blocks most training companies from actually being able to acquire more customers. The first one is that they have no framing and their offer is the same as everybody else. So if you are doing CPR training, if you have a flight school, whatever your training education is, it is the exact same in terms of the offer that the person, your potential customer, is looking at. So if in that scenario, you'll be competing on price every single time. So it's a losing sum game, because the demand that you're generating, they'll immediately look at your competitors and you won't be able to scale your advertisement predictably. And that's why you're stuck on referrals. Because people that lived through your experience, they can tell with their heart, their soul, to their friends and other people they know how great of an experience this was. But again, this is what we call warm traffic, meaning they are selling for you. And the way to grow a company is to be able to get the attention of someone that doesn't know your company, and that you can make them understand and educate them on why your training, your company is going to be more beneficial for them than another solution. The second problem that keeps them from growing the company is they don't know how to generate more attention, meaning they might be doing some SEO, they're getting referrals, they have a website, they have an email list, but there is no activity that is being done every single day that the sole purpose is to generate more attention, more traffic, to see the offer and to generate new customers. And in most cases, the reason why this is so difficult for a lot of training education company owners is that they don't have the skill to advertise and to sell to cold traffic. Meaning, when you're selling someone that has been referred to your friend, you can pretty much just say to them, hey, here's the price. You know that their stuff is great, just buy, right? But when you're targeting people that have a lower awareness, meaning they might not even know if they should, train in your particular school, or they don't even know if they want to learn the skill, or they don't even know that the skill that you're training on even exists. These are different tiers of awareness. And the best training education companies, the ones that not only have the best product, but were able to crack and do the marketing and sales part, they are able to sell to colder and colder audiences. And that's very important to understand. Now, the third problem, the thing that keeps companies from growing, is that they don't know how to allocate their capital, meaning that they've been really good, especially the owner, at delivering the product, building the operations. They have this stack of capital, of money, but they don't know how to expand it, utilize it to keep growing the company faster. And most cases, that's what happens for companies that has pretty much been stuck, from 1 to 10 million pretty much at the same rate or growing very slowly for many, many years. It's because they have this profit margin, but they don't know how to use it to get a return on investment. And I was talking with a partner of ours, and he was talking about how he was trying to get 5 to 7% with his money in the financial market. And I thought it was really funny because he had a pretty good business, doing 2 to 3 million a year with good profit margins, a training company. And I told him, why are you not focusing all of your time on taking that money and making a five time ROAS, so a 5 time return on investment? So you take your 200, 300,000 and get 1.5 million back. That should be how you view advertisement, right? It's not ridiculous to get a 5 to 10x return on your money over a year. But people are still really struggling and fixing on how can I get 5 to 10% a year, which is not bad. But when you have a vehicle, you have a team, you have operations, you've been working on a vehicle that can help you produce more cash and help more people discover your training and get help, why would you not invest your money in that direction? Well, the obvious answer is that they don't know. Training companies owners just don't know how to do that, and they don't have the marketing and sales system to put their money into to keep growing that and then reinvest more and more. First part is that you don't know how to generate new traffic, new demand towards your offer and your training company. And the second part is you don't know how to sell to people that don't know about you and your company. The first part that keeps companies from growing is that they just don't know how to generate new traffic, getting new leads, new people that don't know about their company outside of their network. That's number one. Then number two is selling people that don't know about your company, your offer, etc. So even if you're generating leads, demand, if you don't have the proper system to sell to these people, consult them, educate them on making a good decision, and just ultimately sell them on why your solution would be better than another, then you're gonna fail. So these go into one and another, which in big terms it's advertisement, so marketing, and then sales. Very simple. In training and education, you cannot, if you're trying to scale the company, be an order taker. So think about, you're going to a drive-through and you're taking an order. All they're doing in their sales process is telling you, do you want this, this, or this? They take your order and that's it, right? This is not how you grow a training and education company. You have to do what we call a consultative selling process, meaning that you are educating the person in front of you to make the best decision possible. You're not letting them make the decision on their own because they don't know anything. You are the expert. You and your company are the experts, and you should be guiding, taking the hand of your potential customer and guiding them to the best direction, the best outcome possible. So again, you cannot be just taking orders. So you must have a process where you are asking questions to the potential customer. You are making them think. You are pretty much removing the doubts and the fears that they have from taking action. And you are solving the problems that is keeping them from making a decision with you. And that all of what I just mentioned is the second type of buyer, which is they need a lot more information and trust. So if currently, a training company, an education company, if they can't grow, they can't seem to scale, let's say they're generating new traffic, but they aren't able to convert them, the only two reasons that they cannot convert them is either they don't have a good selling process, so they're not giving enough information and not guiding each potential buyer. And the second one is trust. So there's a million things you can do to increase the trust that a potential buyer is going to have in you. And that's part of marketing and sales. It's not the product itself, but it's the way that the person sees the product, experience your company before they buy from you. That's what marketing and sales and advertisement is all about. And pretty much all the hundreds of training and education companies I've seen, they are masters at their craft. They're great in operations. They might have tried to hire, a salesperson. They might have tried to hire a marketing person, but it just didn't work because they didn't know the core plan they needed to follow. The second problem is that when you're not great at the selling portion, you cannot raise prices. A lot of companies in the space, they haven't raised prices in years. And of course, it's ridiculous because that's a big lever to pull, and it's just natural for a company to do that. But they just cannot because they're competing on price. And they're competing on price not just because they have an offer that is exactly like the others, but they have a marketing that isn't generating enough trust to be able to charge more. But all of those little things make that they keep being stuck in price. And when you're getting stuck in price, you cannot sell to, profitably, right? Because if you're making a tiny little profit margin per customer, you cannot reinvest and buy customers, which buying customers is literally just taking the profits that you have and knowing that you pay $50 to acquire customers and they will give you 500 back, right? But if your profit margin is really small, you won't be able to take that risk on and scale the company. When you acquire a customer, there's many things that you can help them with, right? So you have exterior, potential customers, which are leads, which you have to call, you have to email, you have to follow up with them, you have to book a meeting to discuss with them and educate them to make a better decision. All of that is the outside selling process, which 95% of training and education companies I've looked at, again, hundreds of notes and calls that I had with them, they aren't even doing, 1% of this, but the other portion is selling to your own customers. You've paid, you worked really hard to acquire these customers, and you're not trying to, get them to buy another product. You're not trying to get them to refer you actively. Again, a lot of the companies in the space, they've been stuck at the same revenue because they've coasted. They've not taken proactive action toward growing the company in a structured manner, right? They just let the company fizzle and they get some referrals, some SEO traffic, Google Ads traffic, and it keeps them at the same place every single year. Well, the third part that I'm mentioning is you have a customer base. They have a network. You should be every single week trying to engage that audience. Another product you can have, getting referrals, getting reviews. There's so many ways to activate that customer base, and that should be a system. It shouldn't be, once in a while, once a year when the certification is coming up, or, every 2 years, even worse. I'll send them a blast email and we'll hope that they buy our, the next certification, or we'll hope that they'll buy the next natural product. For example, a flight school, for as a random example, you have many tiers that you can buy, or other training portions, that you can get even more expertise or on certain aircrafts, and you're just hoping that they'll make a decision, they'll like your product and then jump into that one. It doesn't work that way. If you want to maximize the number of people that takes another product or ultimately increases the value per customer that you have to guide them, you have to educate them. Everything must be in steps. Hopefully this was valuable to you. If you want to receive more strategies, even breakdowns of training and education companies that get acquired, that get sold, because we're in process of acquiring, buying in education training companies in the next few months. So we're looking at a lot of deals. We're looking also at our partners, how we help them grow on the marketing and sales side. That's our expertise. So we're sharing here and there, not every week or so, just randomly, our best advice, strategies, and data in the space, specifically, again, training, certification, and education. So if that interests you, you can add your information below. A few hundreds of companies that are above 1 million, they want me to send them some information here and there. So if that's interesting to you as well and you're in the space, you can, again, just add your information below and you can watch some other videos. Have a great day.